Hi there, it's Roy from Sulphur City Foundry. Just shooting a quick video today on how to fix your switches onto your Lightsaber hilts. Okay, so this came up, it was a question posed on the local group. A chap had his recharge port and switch start to come away from the hilt. So I thought I'd just shoot a quick video showing you how to, a technique that I use to fix my switches to the hilts. Now first off, some hilts use threaded holes for their switches. So Saber Trio, Raiders Volt for example, you actually have to physically screw the switch into the hole, but like I said, a lot of manufacturers actually just drill a plain hole for you to fix your switch into. Okay, so I'm just going to use a quick little diagram today just to show you how you want to go about fixing your switch. So this will be, for example, for a Saber Forge hilt. So when manufacturers drill their holes, in most cases they will drill a small recess for the switch so it sits flush into the hilt like that. Okay, so what you want to do to actually make sure your switches stay there is just use something. This is a technique that I use. Just use a little bit of super glue. Now you might think that that's a bit of an odd choice. Super glue can be pretty messy, pretty icky sometimes, but when used sparingly it's actually perfect for the job, and I'm just going to explain why. So super glue is obviously quite a strong adhesive. When you're applying it to metals, and let's say you use it very sparingly, when you're applying it to metals, you, especially for sabers, you apply it to the recessed upper surface, just here and here. Remember, that's a circle. Okay, and like I said, you essentially want to apply just enough to keep the switch stuck and glued into the hilt for when you're using it dueling and everything. But if you ever need to gain access to your electronics, the beauty with this stuff is it's quite brittle, so you can actually break the bond just using something physical like a screwdriver. Put down the emitter and use to lift the switches out and break that seal. And refer to one of my other videos for how to remove switches on Ultra Sabers and Saber Forge for that. Okay, so how do we apply just the right amount of glue for to keep the switch stuck, but also not so much that it looks messy and you can't get your switch out. So basically, just get your super glue, get a little receptacle, something you can kind of throw away or throw into the recycling, and just put a few drops of super glue onto the surface. Then you want to get a small gizmo tool, something like this. I use a chopped off dental pick. You can actually use an Allen key as well. Okay, because what you're going to do, you're going to get that tool, you're going to dip it into the super glue just so there's a tiny little blob on the end of the tool, and then you're just going to run that tool around the upper surface of this recess, and you're only going to go in for one blob, do half the circle, second blob, the other half. You literally just want to make that top of that recess look wet, just like there's a tiny little scrape of glue on. Then what you're going to do, you're just going to get your switch, and like I said, in this case of that photo I just showed you, it's already pre-wired, so you would have lifted that out of the way. You're just going to move the switch in, push it down into the recess, and just hold it there for about 60 seconds. And what you'll do, you'll actually find that the glue will start adhering to keep that switch in place pretty quickly. You can take your finger away after 60 seconds, it should all be stuck, and then you're done. You just let it cure overnight. Like I said, there's enough there to keep the switch in, but it's because it's a brittle glue, you can actually get in there, break the bond, and gain access to your electronics again if you need to. Okay, and that is all there is to it in terms of gluing in a switch. Something to note, when you glue in your recharge port, because it's plastic, the glue tends to adhere pretty quickly. So make sure that that goes in straight first time. What you can see on the side of the recharge port, there's actually little flattened areas with no thread. They're actually a good guide to help you get that recharge port in square. But what you want to do, you want to get it in there, make sure it is in line, and hold it there, and it will adhere quite quickly. Like I say, if you do screw up catastrophically, you can always pop it out again with a screwdriver. You just put a screwdriver down the end of the hilt and lift out the switches. Check that out in another video for how to put together a little insulator tool to do that. Okay, that is it. Thanks very much. Hopefully that will help you out if you ever need to fix some switches into your hilts. Okay, cheerio.